everybody. I miss Tell It Like It Is. What's up, y'all? See, my daughter gave me a whole brand new look. I told y'all I would come back and show you. And this hair, it can go in many different styles, but I had it wrapped up in a bun, but I decided to have it down today. But I'm happy to see y'all. I hope you're happy to see me. Yeah. And I'm just enjoying the most beautiful place, and that is the water. Okay? My favorite place because it's a place where I can clear my mind. It's a place where when my thoughts are bombarded, I can go and I can just feel like all my problems are being just washed away, you know? And that's a good feeling, you know? My channel talks about so much, okay? And I share some personal things on my channel in hopes to help others while I'm helping myself, okay? I'm not one of these people to act like I'm perfect and I come from a perfect world, because I don't. I'm not one of these people to pretend like, you know how people on social media, they always try to pretend like they just have this perfect life. Well, I can't pretend. That's why I'm just telling it like it is, so I have to keep it real. I have to tell it like it is. Some of you may want to hear it and some of you may not. For you who don't want to hear it, don't listen. But for you who want to hear, listen. Yeah, I'm gonna expose some personal things, okay? But guess what? I'm just telling like it is, so that's what I do. I expose personal things, okay? Like I said, in the hopes to help someone out there, because we all go through something in life. All of us have something we gotta heal from. All of us may not have PTSD or ADHD like I do, but we all got something we have to heal from, whether we are aware of it or in denial or not even aware of it. We all do. So I'm going to ask for you all who like my channel, for you that are new to my channel, I'm going to ask you to subscribe if you like my channel. And I'm going to begin to tell you some things about myself. I have PTSD. What is PTSD? PTSD is post-traumatic stress syndrome. And it is when you have flashbacks of traumatic incidents that happen to you, but you relive those incidents as if though they just happened yesterday. We're having post-traumatic stress syndrome. You can get triggered. You can get triggered. It's so easy to be triggered. And so, what I mean by triggered is you could hear a sound and all of a sudden you can become guarded. You can feel like you have to protect yourself. Or someone can say something that reminds you of something traumatic that happened, and then you can find yourself feeling fearful or angry, or you can feel like, you have to protect yourself. A lot of people with post-traumatic stress syndrome, they isolate themselves from the world. It's not easy because it's a very real disorder, and living with it sometimes can be hell. Especially when you compare how you once may have lived to how you live now. You see, I remember a time in my life where I could go out in the public and I didn't have to feel afraid. I'm sorry, y'all. Yes, I didn't have to feel afraid. I didn't have to feel guarded. I didn't have to look over my shoulder. I used to be a social nut. I used to could go to a club and feel safe. But I can't anymore. I can't, y'all. I used to could walk in a mall and feel safe. Without looking over my shoulder and thinking that I have to protect myself. I used to make associates and so-called friends and felt okay to go over someone's house or to hang out or to have someone in my place. But I don't anymore. And that's what it's like when you have PTSD. You are constantly guarded. You're constantly watching over your shoulder, especially in a world that has so much of crime, so many evil people. It's really hard for people with PTSD to even trust, to let down their guards, to have relationships. And I'm not gonna lie to you people, I miss that. I miss living. I miss being able to get close to someone and to have a hug and to be able to trust. I miss that. I know this is personal, and I talk about it because for all the people who go through PTSD, you're not alone. And for some of you who don't even have PTSD, you may feel like I feel. You may feel guarded. You may feel like you live in a world where you just can't trust, can't have a relationship, can't let down your guard. Well, I'm here as Miss Tell It Like It Is to tell you I understand and that you're not alone. I feel what you go through because I go through it every day. I don't, people have different levels of PTSD. I don't have PTSD where I just want to have a flashback and just unalive someone or hurt someone. But I have the type of PTSD if I'm put in a situation where I have to defend myself. I am already on guard. I'm already ready, okay? Yes. So I'm not just like, some people, there are different levels of PTSD. Some people, like, especially people I think who've been in the military, and they may have had, some kind of trauma that happened to them as far as combat or whatever. They have a different type of PTSD. I mean, it's all the same. It's all from trauma, okay? But I'm just letting you know, I'm not one that's just dangerous to society. I'm not like that. I just am guarded from the world, I'm guarded from the world. I'm guarded from relationships. I'm guarded from men, okay? From people, period. It is so hard to trust. And that's what it's like when you have PTSD. And I have ADHD too, y'all, but I'm talking about PTSD right now, okay? And I recently got triggered, y'all. I got triggered. And this is why I'm crying, because I got triggered. I was fine. I was in my bed. It was like probably like 3 something in the morning, and I got a call on the phone. And it was from a person I know, and they were like, "You don't know what happened. Guess what happened? You'll never guess what happened." They were like, one of the narcissists that I used to deal with, they were like, "He's dead. He's dead." And I was just waking up out of a sleep, so it was like the last thing I expected to hear that someone was dead. And they said that they had his funeral last week. He was murdered. Someone poisoned him. They put something in his drink and it caused his lungs to explode. And he was dead. And you all, even though this person caused me so much pain, he was a narcissist. He caused me so much trauma. He actually contributed to me having PTSD, okay? I felt a sense of sadness. And I was like, why am I feeling sad for somebody who started off treating me so good, but then started treating me so nasty, so bad? Why do I feel sorry for him? Why am I grieving? I should not grieve at all. And I couldn't understand it, y'all. And through the process of learning that he had been murdered and he was buried last week, I learned that he had a girlfriend and she was pregnant. Well, the baby would never get to see him. Okay. But then I thought about it, y'all. I said, it's been 3 years ago that I dealt with him. He was one of my exes. One of the 3 exes, the narcissist that caused complete trauma to my life. It's been 3 years. And out of those 3 years, he went on with his life. He got a girlfriend. They lived together. They were going to have a baby. And then I thought about my life, and I'm like, I never moved on. I never got in another relationship. I never could trust to get in another relationship because of all the trauma he put me through. And I thought, this is exactly what narcissists do. They damage people. They damage people to the point that it's hard for them to move on. But they move on and they get whole new families. And guess what? They go on to damage somebody else. But then, you know what I learned from this, you all? It's time to bury my trauma. It's time to heal. It's time to get over it. It's time to live. It's time to learn. It's time to... Because he moved on. And I can't let someone control me from the grave. You understand? I cannot allow someone to control me from the grave. So it is time for me to heal. It is time for me to move on with my life. It is time for me to learn how to trust again. Not completely trust, but I always say trust is earned, it's not given, okay? Because I would like to be the person that I used to be. And see, that's one thing about going through narcissistic abuse, y'all. You lose yourself. You lose who you are, And that's what happened to me. I lost who I was, the social butterfly I was, feeling free and just feeling safe. I lost that dealing with him and 2 other narcissists. So that's where I'm at in my life, y'all. And let's tell it like it is. I'm going to tell you something out there. People who struggle with trust issues, who struggle with PTSD, you can get through this. But just know you're not alone. I know I'm going to beat this, y'all. I'm going to beat it. I am. I'm going to be able to go out one night in a club just to test myself, y'all. And I'm going to be able to, first of all, I'm going to feel the environment. And after I feel that environment, I'm going to have to learn how to let go a little bit at a time, Then I'm going to have to be able to go into the malls and observe my environment, of course, and then learn to let loose. I'm going to have to learn how to live again, because that's what happened when people with PTSD, who's had some kind of traumatic experience, you lose yourself and you lose the way you used to live. And a lot of us, we miss it. For those who may have it, you know what I'm talking about. You miss that. Yes, isolating yourself from the world, it makes you feel safe. But at the same time, you begin to realize that you're not living, you're just existing. And what a terrible way to live, just to isolate yourself from everybody. Just to never ever learn to let go and let God, you know? But you know, the funny thing about it, y'all, I asked myself, why was I feeling bad about this guy that had got murdered? Why? Because, I mean, he was not the nicest of person at all. He was not. And he caused a lot of people a lot of grief and a lot of pain. So I was asking myself, why? Why do I feel bad that that happened to him? And in my spirit, I heard trauma bond. And then I was like, trauma bond? I had to look it up. And trauma bond is when you have developed an emotional attachment to your abuser. And your abuser could be a friend that you was once friends with, a family member, parents, associates. It doesn't have to be, or platonic relationship. It doesn't have to be someone that you were involved with. It could be an ex-husband, an ex-wife, you know. But you develop these emotional bonds to them, okay? And they're trauma bonds, okay? And a lot of times, you know, I remember when I was in that relationship with that narcissist, because I had such a low self-esteem, and he was a narcissist. My goal was to satisfy him, y'all. To make him happy, to make him pleased with me, because at that time, I felt when he was pleased with me, I could be pleased with myself. And that's only because I had a low self-esteem, y'all. So there were times where he pretended to be so pleased with me. I'm so proud of you. Oh, I love you. Oh, you make me so happy. And I felt so good about myself. And then there were other times he was like, oh, you're so stupid. Like, you never do anything right. And then I felt shitty, y'all. I felt shitty. But I realized I was basing my self-worth off of the opinion that he had of me, instead of knowing that loving myself was enough. See, my channel is about self-love, observation, self-awareness, self-healing, okay? So I realized when I look back, if I had loved myself, I would have never, ever, ever let this narcissist continue to verbally abuse me and mentally abuse me. I would have never allowed that, y'all. So that trauma bond, I realized even after he got buried last week, the trauma bond is still here. But I know my self-worth, y'all. I know I don't need him. It's been 3 years. It's just the fact that, you know, when the medical field calls something a trauma bond, on the spiritual side of it, I really believe that's a soul tie. You know, I'm going to tell you what I really believe. You know, medical people, they have their medical terms, and then when it comes to spiritual things or spirituality, it's a spiritual term. So I realized that I still have a soul tie with this abuser, or in the medical term or sense, a trauma bond. But either way you call it, y'all, trauma bond or soul tie, in my opinion, is still the same damn thing, okay? So now I know what I gotta work on. I gotta work on severing this trauma bond, this soul tie with this narcissist that I was once involved with 3 years ago, that is now physically dead, okay? Gone. So I can live my life. And some of y'all out there, you have to do the same thing. And you don't have to have PTSD to have trauma. You don't have to. You can have trauma without post-traumatic stress syndrome, okay? You could have the same symptoms, not wanting to date anybody, not trusting anybody, always on edge, and you know. But the thing about PTSD, you just have these flashbacks, you know. And finding out that this guy had recently been murdered, and then he was buried last week, triggered me. And it triggered all these emotions, and it triggered these tears. But the tears are a part of healing. I believe in a part of deliverance and a part of self-awareness. See, I'm not afraid to cry, y'all. Some people like say, crying, don't let no one see you cry, because that's a form of weakness and people will take advantage. Some of the strongest people cry because, baby, I'm a strong ass person, okay? For everything I've been through, I'm a soldier, okay? So ain't nothing weak about me, even though I'm crying. Believe it, baby, ain't nothing weak about this. Tell it like it is. No, it isn't. But yeah, but anyway, y'all, stay encouraged, because I'm going to stay encouraged. When I cry, I feel a releasing. And I feel better because I released that. I had to release it. And I had no intentions of crying on my doggone video. I really didn't. But I had to let it out because it was coming, and I wasn't getting ready to sit up here and fight it and be like, well, I wasn't getting ready to do that, y'all. Hey, it is what it is, right? But anyway, self-love is so important. Self-healing. And some people think that if you have PTSD, oh, you can't heal from that. Well, I'm very optimistic. Yes, I can. Okay? I don't care what anybody else say. I can heal from PTSD. Okay? And I will. And I will get out there. And I will start to live again. And so will you. So will you out there who goes through, what I'm going through. You will too. But it takes self-analyzing. It takes recognizing your triggers. And it takes analyzing on how you're going to work through the trauma. How you're going to work. My way, and this is me. What I'm going to do, one day I'm going to film me going out in public. I'm talking about like in a crowd. I'm going to film it, y'all. With a big old bug. Whew. Bug was like this big, y'all. I'm going to film it, and that's going to be a part of my self-healing. To be able to go out in crowds and not feel like like I'm in danger. Okay? Yeah. So whatever works for you, you have to do. You know, we all know what our triggers are. Some of us don't know, but trust me, I've learned what my triggers are, y'all. I've learned, and I'm still learning. But when I learn what a trigger is or what triggers me, then instead of me running from what caused me to fear or cry or get angry, I face it. I face it. You know, like when I heard that the guy that I used to go with was murdered. You know, at first I wanted to pretend like it didn't affect me in any kind of way. And I realized just trying to put a band-aid on my feelings was just making me feel worse. Like I was, because that's not how I really felt on the inside. So I had to let those emotions out, y'all. I had to ask myself, instead of running from how I was feeling, I had to face it, and I had to admit to myself and admit to some others in my life that when I heard that he had been murdered, it triggered these emotions of sadness, even though it sounded crazy. And even I was like, why would I be sad? Because he was horrible to me. I mean, he didn't initially start off horrible, treating me horrible. It was like an up and down roller coaster. It was like, you know, the love bombing, and the honeymoon, and then the mental abuse. It was just up and down. So, you know, I was like, why am I feeling this way? So instead of me just trying to bury it, I started going online, and I went on Google, y'all. And then, you know, from hearing within my spirit, because I'm a spiritual person as well, and I heard trauma bond, and I looked that up, and I realized that's what I got. I got a trauma bond. I got a trauma bond. I got an emotional attachment to my abuser. And even though it's been 3 years, that emotional attachment was still there. And what I got emotionally attached to is when he did treat me good, the good side of him. That's what but then I have to tell myself, that wasn't the real him. The good side of him was just an illusion to throw me off, to gain my trust in order to abuse me. Okay? And that's why it's so hard when you've been through that emotional abuse. It's so hard to trust new people. Because sometimes, especially with PTSD, you start asking yourself, especially when someone is new in your life and they say, I need you to trust me. And you look at them like, what? You are new in my life. Trust is earned, baby. Trust is not given, okay? And that triggers me when someone is like new in my life and they're like, I want you to trust me. My guards go up. I'm like, that's a sign not to trust you, because you want me to trust you too quick. So you got something you hide, and so baby. And sometimes I just go the other way, and that person may never hear from me again, because it triggered a feeling of not trusting, you know. So, you know, I've learned with a person with PTSD, I'm no doctor, y'all, but I'm going to always say this, especially for me. Okay, I'm taking my advice. Face your fears, okay? Because facing your fears, facing your feelings is a way of healing. Face your triggers, you know, like, because it helps me. Like, if I had ignored the fact that I felt sad when I heard he died, then I wouldn't have been true to myself. And see, when you're trying to heal, you got to be true to yourself, even when it sounds kind of loony, you know, because I didn't want to accept the fact that I was feeling sad. You know, in fact, when the person told me that he had been murdered, I was like, well, that's what happens, you know, when you live hurting people and doing the things, so many bad things to people, that happens to you, you know. But then on the inside, I was like, dang, I feel bad. What the hell? You know, no, I don't feel bad. I was trying to lie to myself, y'all. I was trying to lie to myself, and then finally, I just couldn't lie to myself no more. I was like, I feel bad, and this is crazy. What the hell is wrong with me? Trauma bond. Trauma bond, baby. Medical term, spiritual term, soul ties. I'm just telling like it is. Y'all take care. I hope you like my hair. It's a whole new look, baby. Yeah, it's a whole new look. I'm looking good. Complimentaries to my daughter, baby. Complimentaries to my daughter. Y'all take care. I'm just telling like it is. If you like my channel, subscribe, okay? I have many more things coming, okay? And remember, I'm versatile on my channel, okay? I'm versatile. Like life. Life is versatile. I'm versatile. Take care. I'm out. Oh,